Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyle. I'm here in Southern California. I decided to finally create a channel sharing my passion with cars and working on them and modifying them. So today I have my new to me 1990 Honda CRX SIR. I purchased this about a month ago. I've just been sitting in storage for the past decade plus. Car that I've wanted for about 14 years now, one of my dream cars, and yeah, there's a lot I want to do to it, but right now I'd just like to get it running and enjoy driving it. It runs, it just doesn't drive very far. So right now I have what I think is low fuel pressure, and I've changed the fuel filter, cleaned the injectors, and still it'll start and run. You go to drive it down the street and it cuts out. So I believe we're having an issue with a fuel pump. So today I have a brand new fuel pump, a new fuel level sender, which is also not working, and gaskets and stuff to install it all. So wanted to bring you guys along, and hopefully I can get this thing driving and running great by the end of the video. Give you guys a little information. Everything I know about this motor, I was told, is it is supposedly built block, B20B, GSR head, ITBs, has 4 to 2 to 1 headers, and yeah, I know you can take all that with a grain of salt. I haven't taken anything apart to confirm anything yet. Currently I have my fuel pressure regulator right here. It was saying I was getting 60 pounds at first, and then last time I started I was only at 20 pounds, so it just seems to be progressively getting worse as it runs. So that leads me to believe that this fuel pump could be bad and it's overheating. So start it up and see how it runs, and start to remove the tank. Sorry if it's loud. You see right here, I'm only getting just over 20 psi. Other than that, when it runs at idle, it runs pretty well. So I've already removed this seat once before. There's just one bolt in the back, and if I remember, it just folds forward. And then that gives you access to the fuel level sender. All right, now that the seat's out, we can now access this fuel level sender, remove that, and then we have to use this to drain all the fuel out of the tank before we drop that and make it a little easier. Just gonna be one plug here. Plug underneath here. There's a little grommet you gotta pull off, and you can access that other clip. All right. Set all that to the side. I have my pry bar and a little hammer, and then there's a little snap ring that holds all this assembly in, so you just need to hammer that to twist it off. Okay, now that this ring is off, remove that, pull that off. Now this whole assembly should come out. Now I got one of these old cheap transfer pumps from Harbor Freight, and just gotta pump all the gas out. I know there's only about 5 gallons in here, so hopefully this thing still works. Alright, so about 10 minutes and arm pump later, I believe we got about 90% of the fuel out of there and ready to jack the car up and drop the tank now. Alright, skip forward a little bit. I know there are other videos showing specifically how to get this tank out, but yeah, there's just a couple hoses had to remove here, plastic trim panel, and disconnected the main fill hose to the gas tank and I believe the return line. So now we're ready to pull off the hangers. All right. Previous owner said that they replaced the tank and the pump. The tank looks pretty new. I guess we'll see what the pump looks like. I can already tell I don't particularly like the condition of the wiring. See if there's something I can get to clean that up. Had to get a little creative with the camera mounting here. Hopefully that helps. There we go. Alright, let's see. Ooh. Yeah, see if you can see this. This filter is just disintegrated. So it's probably all gummed up in the tank. Yep. It's not the pump, it's the filter. I can feel everything in there is just fully disintegrated. I think dropping that tank deserves a Celsius. Not a paid product placement, but I wouldn't complain if they did. Got my dogs inside so I can try to drain the rest of this tank out. That was probably loud. Mic stuck to the tank. Alright, now the tank is outside in the sun drying. It's all washed out. Should be ready to go here shortly. Let's take a look at the parts that I have here to replace. Start by this fuel level sender. So when I had this thing apart before, I noticed that the wire going to the actual sending unit was broken, and this thing's pretty corroded and nasty. So this is a genuine Honda part number. I believe for some reason this was out of a 92 to 95 Civic, so it has a different plug than what I've seen the other CRXs have. But hoping that it will work. Same plug, slightly different sending unit, but it should work. We'll find out. Also in this package here, this I believe is it's from Quantum, but it's a Walbro fuel pump. Brand new filter, harness. This little grommet is supposed to fit factory. I believe it's a Walbro. This is the GSS 341. Start by disassembling this old sending, or this old fuel filter. It looks like what they have in there is pretty similar, so hopefully this is pretty straightforward. We can get the old one out, get the new one in. Zip ties in the fuel tank isn't something I would do, but alright, that's the old pump removed. All this stuff is just all corroded, breaking. So far these new parts look good. Yeah, this grommet lines up perfectly in there. On the old one they had to zip tie it in, so this should be pretty straightforward. Before I forget, another thing that I bought is a new seal, which I'm glad I did because this one is very crusty. All right, there we go. A weird animal on my roof. I'm an idiot because I think these plugs are the same. I didn't have to cut the old one off. At least I can reuse the terminal for the ground. Try to keep a clean workspace and still end up losing stuff. I was thinking about using this old grommet as the spacer in there, but I don't think that would be a good idea. A little metal clip that goes on. I don't even know if you can see that. Goes on the pump. I usually try to get just a small socket. Put it on there. Press it on the nub. Alright, should be on there good enough. It's one pump assembled, ready to go back in. Throw the bag back on the filter so it doesn't get dirty. Here's the pump I took out of it. Looks very corroded. It's hopefully between this and all the debris in the pump from that filter that can solve our issue. All right, tank is back inside and clean and warm, and now we are ready to reassemble this tank and install the fuel level sender and the in-tank pump. Okay, let's try that now. Seal also came with new hardware. I'm aware my extension is a little overkill, but I only brought a handful of tools with me here. Alright, torque to spec. The new fuel sender did not come with a new lock ring. This one goes here. I remember that goes around there. Throw that on there. These are the worst pliers for that. This guy fits right here. Cleaned up all the threads on this. Should have replaced the crush washers, but I don't have any. Okay. Everything ready to go back in now. There's the tank all reassembled. All the brand new parts are in, new seals are in, hardware, and next thing left to do is to throw this in the car. Now I'm calling it for today, so I'll be back in here tomorrow to finish this up. Hopefully we get started up and get it rolling. This is where I left off yesterday. Other than I did finish installing this wiring harness, that kit came with these new metal clips, and kind of reran that to keep it out of the way. Yesterday I was kind of worried about the state of the wiring for the pump, but I think for now I will leave it like that. I think there's an upgrade I can get later on down the road for AN fittings and a pass-through to rewire that pump. All right, back underneath the car with the assembled tank. Let's see if we can get this thing fitted back in. All right, now back under, connecting to the fuel line. It's two 10mm bolts. this 14mm compression fitting. Alright, so now I have fuel line connected, these other hoses connected, that hose clamp on, the main fill hose tightened up. This clamp back here gave me the hardest time, reminding me I need to buy a good set of hose clamp pliers. So that would have made that a heck of a lot easier. But I think we're ready to take it off the jack stands and refill this with fuel. Got ahead of myself there. I forgot to reinstall this plastic cover. Covers everything up. So now we're ready. All right, now we'll go back inside the car and finish connecting that fuel level sensor. All right, good news is this plug didn't get pinched, raising the tank up into its positions. Little cover that it goes into, this pushes all the way through, and then this grommet gets pressed in from the top side. Okay. Plug this back in, and we're ready to refuel. So the fuel that I drained out of the tank is only a few weeks old. This gas can has a little strainer in the fill, so I don't have to worry about any debris from that old tank. I reuse this fuel. It's a mixture of this VP race fuel, which I believe is a 97 octane, and 50/50 with 91, so it gives me about 93 octane, which isn't available anywhere near me on the pump. So I figured with this engine that's been built, probably a little higher compression. I haven't been able to test it or put a bore scope in to see what piston size or piston style it is, but just to be on the safe side, running 93 won't hurt. All right, now I can reconnect the battery and turn this thing over to see if I can hear that fuel pump prime. Battery's connected, and yes, I am aware that I do have a tie strap holding my battery in place right now. I will be ordering the relocation bracket for that specific battery that goes underneath the fender, so somewhere down the road. All right, we're gonna turn the car over, and I'll put the mic over by the fuel pump to see if we can hear it. Sounds like we can hear it. Try that again, prime it. All right, so an update. I guess the camera wasn't recording when I tried to start it, but it started and shut off, and I'm getting no activity from the fuel pump at all. But I did see that my fuel pressure, it was all the way up at 80. I don't know why, but it's bleeding down now, but it's more than 20, so some progress there. And now I'm thinking blew a fuse for the pump, so I'm gonna check the fuses and see what happened there. How's it going? Here we are, day 3. Went down a little rabbit hole last night trying to source this short to ground. So I thought it was possibly the ignition switch, but isolated the ignition switch and I don't get a short from that. So it's going to be from somewhere between the fuse panel underneath the dash and somewhere in the wiring. So I'll have to go dive deeper in the next video, and I'll let you guys know what I find. I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, tips, if any of you have run into the same issue, I'm here to learn as well. So thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.